the unfoldment will entail the most likely, the unfoldment will entail a derailing of our euphoria. So the second flank of the box, the notion of Shreya and Preya as enunciated in the Katha Upanishad. So at large in the world and within ourselves, there is something pleasing, something with immediate allure. And we are instinctually programmed to reach out to this, to make it our own. It is very pleasant, whatever is pleasant. Then there is Shreya, which might and which usually is not immediately appealing. It can be repugnant, may look painful, abhorrent. So it's not in our instinctive nature to reach out to this, whatever represents Shreya, myself, the world, and the entirety of being as I see it. How far can I bring myself to jettison Preya? Because Katha Upanishad is quite distinctive about it. Whatever is of immediate allure is pleasant for the time being. It runs counterintuitive, contrary to our instinctual tendencies. But if you could reach out and adopt, the Upanishad says, in the long run, there is something worthy of note that can unfold. So this itself suggests a very profound line of tapas. Analyze, inquire, contemplate, chartas. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. You see the way it has been enunciated. Dharma has been positioned in a place of primacy. You can let go of the rest. And dharma needs to be looked at. So the material and the fulfillment aspect of life. And both dharma and moksha entail that these two stations have to be wayside. You necessarily must pass them, but you don't dwell on them. You don't dwell in them. You don't get trapped. Now there might be many of us who are reasonably sanguine with dharma. Dharma is a notion which defies definition. In one sense, you can say it's the order of the cosmos, and in another sense, what is the right thing for a given person to be doing under the specific set of circumstances now. It can change. So you have to be alive. Dharma is not a stagnant or a dead notion, it's a living notion. And compliance of dharma requires that you need to have that reliability that comes with life and change. Now the deal is, we ask ourselves the question of whether I do want to aspire for moksha. What is the nature of this moksha enunciated? Moksha is lapsing out of the cycle of forms. If my life has been fairly good going, with a few reaches of dysphoria and unwanted, which is bound to be there, dominantly euphoric, generally so euphoric that I don't even need to ask the question of whether my unfolding experience of life is indeed legitimate and authentic, or whether I am dreaming it and driving it. Because as experiences, illusions and dreams, in terms of their fundamental fabric, are no different from actualities. The mind doesn't really have what it takes to distinguish between what has been drummed up, what has been set up, what has been dreamed, from what is authentically the backdrop of nature. So this is a legitimate question one has to ask consciously. Do I want? If the answer is I don't want moksha, I prefer to continue with life. I want to be born again. It is, in my humble view, not at all wrong, not at all bad. But one needs to be honest with oneself. Because each individual represents a certain phase in the spectrum of evolution. Though we cohabit this planet at this point of time altogether, and we are sitting in this hall, each of us is a unique individual, an experiment on the part of nature which has never been replicated, which will never be replicated again. So that is who you are. You are an unique individual. So it's out of your own internal difficulties. You might seek to listen to somebody and follow him. In this instant case, it might be me. But first of all, I would exhort you to get rid of me. That will happen at the end of the lecture, hopefully. So if you are indeed yourself, you don't want moksha, be born, continue this life, thrash about in the stream of life, struggle with its waves, take what comes out of it, until the setting drives you to the point where you start seeking liberation. That is when you become a mumukshu. Once again, I enter a caveat. I don't mean to say that a mumukshu is a higher kind of creature than any other. So there are some of us here who might be kalakshepis, who are here passing time. Very legitimate pursuit. I don't disagree with you at all. There might be some who are in kutuhala. You are curious, want to find out what this yoga, spirituality. Is it a kind of enjoyment that doesn't entail a large bill to be paid at the end of it? Explore. Curiosity. That's the second category. And there might be, and I expect there are, jignasis who have a contrarian viewpoint. To continue my caveat, if you happen to be disagreeing with what I say, I am most happy for you. Please keep to your views. It's unfortunate that the time has passed when I could benefit by them, so there is no need to share it with me. Then the fourth category, mumukshus. Mumukshus are those who are prepared to transform with learning. So learning is not meant to be an add-on. It is not like the spare wheel in your automobile which you will use upon a flat tire. Those are the wheels on which you ride your life. So a new given thing demonstrated to you authentically within yourself. You don't need a second person. You are prepared to change with what you are seeing. You are prepared to change with new insights. That's a mumukshu. And for the most part, I am constrained to address a large part of what I am saying to mumukshus. The others, please persist with me. I'll try to keep you entertained to the extent that I can in the course of my stride. Werner Heisenberg once said that certain things are so serious that you can only joke about them. So this thing, the human predicament, you just ask yourself and answer this question. Supposing you are put into a very comfortable room, luxurious room, by yourself, you are provided food, you are not hungry, you have enough to drink, the climate control is immaculate, you are not cold or hot, but you don't have company, you don't have a TV, you don't have listening, you don't have reading, you have nothing to do. In a scenario like this, does it make me shudder a little? I won't be surprised. So this is the human predicament. We are unable to be at repose with the content of our own inner being. That is the primary human predicament. And anything you do in real terms is actually a response to this predicament. People go on holiday, go on tour, go to resorts, go to bars, go to entertainments, read books. Actually, a small part of it is about going somewhere. The largest part is about going away from who and what you are. Yogic and Vedantic traditions are about making a square appraisal of this position of affairs, turning around 180 degrees and meeting this challenge head on. So what is this content that is frightening me, scaring me into running away? You see, it's a pretty serious question. The psychiatrist R.D. Laing coined the word psychophobia to represent this. The most common and aberrant human disease is the sheer inability of an individual to come to terms with the content of one's own mind. For somebody whom this running away is working, and you are able to derive large euphorias as a consequence of this running away, I would be the most happiest person for you. Don't change. Go on tours, run away, do what you like, do what you want, keep up the merriment. But at some point of time in life, and figuratively by the scriptures, if there is a next life, some point in your next life perhaps, you might be constrained to turn around and forced to face this question. So a mumukshu is one who by volitional choice or by dint of circumstances has been forced to turn around and confront this question of the human predicament. Now, what is this about human predicament that I can't endure? Why am I running away? Why can't I sit staring at a wall? The wall offers no stimulation whatsoever. And my mind is a reeking maelstrom of restlessness. The first preference is to reach out for euphoria, feelings of well-being. If I am not able to, then by default, I invite pain. What is abhorrent is blankness is what is abhorrent. I don't want blankness. To the extent possible, I want pleasure. When pleasure is no longer possible, it's okay. We will put up with pain. Actually, a lot of the things that we do is painful. It is just that we have learned to enjoy our pains. That is what the sage Vasishta says. Your pleasures are all pains which you have just learned to enjoy. Climbing Mount Everest is not very joyous and relaxing. And no one on earth has ever been able to climb a mountain, but they all do it volitionally. So here we come to an exceedingly profound enunciate of the Vedantic and yogic Siddhanta. The quest for experiences is the fundamental affliction of human beings, the primary disease. That's the quest for experiences, reaching out in these two denominators, raga and dvesha. There is an allurement to euphoria, there is an aversion to dysphoria. When one is possible, default, the other is allowed to be welcome. But blankness is something that I don't want, I can't stand. Now, how did the state of affairs come to be? There are no clear, distinctive answers. You can explore and come up with your own ideas.